The secretive conclave of cardinals takes place under lock and key, with a series of votes inside the Vatican's Sistine Chapel to elect a new pope.
Breaking news: a janitor, a sealed letter, and a secret that could shatter the church inside the marble corridors of the Vatican. A name echoed quietly: Fernanda. Not a cardinal, not a bishop, but a humble 42-year-old cleaner. On the Pope's final day, as an eerie fog blanketed St. Peter's Basilica, Fernanda was summoned into the sacred private chambers of the Holy Father. When she emerged, her hands clutched a sealed letter, worn and trembling with urgency. Eyewitnesses recounted the oddity of the moment, questioning why the leader of the Catholic Church, with his access to the world's most powerful figures, would entrust his last secret to an invisible worker. The Vatican remained silent, but whispers spread rapidly that the letter contained not a farewell, but a ticking prophecy capable of cracking the very foundation of the Church. And so, through corridors lined with saints and centuries of tradition, an unseen revolution began to stir, carried in the trembling hands of a woman no one saw coming. The forbidden prophecy that brought a Vatican worker to her knees. In the silent shadows of the Pope's abandoned study, Fernanda opened the letter. Inside, in the Pope's unmistakable hand, was a prophecy destined to shake the Church to its core. The words foretold not only his own passing, but declared that a woman would one day lead the Church, healing its ancient wounds with the compassion of a mother. As the realization sank in, Fernanda collapsed to the cold marble floor, overwhelmed by the gravity of what she had read. For a church that had clung to rigid tradition for 2 millennia, even the idea of such change was unthinkable. Fernanda's fainting was not merely personal shock. It was the physical response to the crushing weight of a future she had glimpsed and could not unsee. Alone in the ancient halls, she cradled a truth that would soon ignite conflicts older than most could comprehend. Betrayal in the marble halls. Sister Clara Strike's news traveled like wildfire through the Vatican's silent halls. Sister Clara, Fernanda's superior and a staunch protector of tradition, confronted her under the cloister's fading frescoes. Demanding the letter's surrender, Clara's fury revealed the true depths of fear gripping the Vatican's old guard. A struggle ensued as desperate hands fought for the fragile parchment, rosary beads snapping against marble as Fernanda, sobbing, clung to the Pope's final command. No longer just a janitor, Fernanda transformed into a defender of change, standing alone against an ancient power that sensed its looming downfall. Though Clara's assault left her shaken, Fernanda refused to betray the trust placed in her, sealing her fate as the Vatican's unlikely enemy and the secret bearer of its possible rebirth. Whispers of rebellion, Vatican descends into suspicion, the bells of St. Peter's tolled to mark the Pope's death, yet inside the Vatican, the real mourning was for the crumbling walls of control. Cardinals gathered behind locked doors, their whispered debates laced with fear and desperation. Among the lower ranks, gardeners, cooks, guards, rumors of a hidden letter spread like wildfire. Tension thickened the air, and suspicion bloomed like mold in the dim marble halls. Fernanda moved silently through the labyrinth, the Pope's letter pressed against her chest, every footstep weighted with dread. Security patrols increased, inquisitors prowled, and yet the truth she carried remained hidden. Each moment became a dangerous game of survival, as the ancient city-state's fragile order threatened to fracture under the strain of a secret too massive to contain. The child's cry that shook St. Peter's Square, as mourners swelled into St. Peter's Square under a heavy gray sky, an extraordinary event shattered the somber air. A small girl named Sophia, daughter of a Vatican gardener, broke through the ranks and cried out words that froze thousands in place. "The Pope lives, the truth must be told." The sound rang clear and sharp across the ancient stones, cutting deeper than any sermon. Guards rushed forward, their boots slamming against the cobblestones, but they could not erase what had been heard. Some gasped, some wept, and some fell to their knees in awe. Sophia's proclamation eerily mirrored the Pope's hidden prophecy, igniting new terror among the faithful and fear among those who sought to suppress it. Though swiftly removed, The child's words lingered in the cold air, impossible to silence and impossible to forget. A secret alliance forms under candlelight, fearing for her life, but driven by duty. Fernanda sought sanctuary beneath the Vatican's ancient stones, finding Father Matteo, a young priest with a reputation for quiet defiance. Beneath flickering candles, Fernanda entrusted him with the Pope's letter. Matteo, stunned and humbled, immediately swore his allegiance to the cause. Unexpectedly, Sister Clara, her conscience broken by the miracle of Sophia, knelt beside them, pledging her aid. In the forgotten corners of the Vatican, the trio formed a pact to fulfill the Pope's dying wish. Bound by candlelight and courage, their secret alliance prepared to wage a silent rebellion against the most powerful institution on earth, risking excommunication, ruin, and their very lives to deliver the truth to the world. Operation Funeral Leaflets, spreading the forbidden prophecy. Their plan was reckless, dangerous, and breathtaking. Deep inside the Vatican's forgotten printing presses, Fernanda, Matteo, and Clara produced thousands of copies of the Pope's letter, carefully redacted to shield identities while preserving the message. During the funeral mass, they secretly placed the pages into hymnals, prayer books, and funeral programs. At first, the crowd was still. Then came the whispers, the gasps, the stunned cries. Shock rippled across St. Peter's Square as the faithful clutched the forbidden words to their hearts. Security forces scrambled, but the prophecy had already leapt free, carried by trembling hands and tear-streaked faces. By nightfall, the story erupted across global news outlets, igniting debates, anger, hope, and terror. The truth could no longer be buried. It had risen among the people. Vatican crackdown, Cardinal Moretti's declaration of war. The response from the Vatican hierarchy was swift and merciless. Cardinal Moretti, the firebrand defender of tradition, declared an internal war against the unknown rebels. Vatican guards scoured every chamber, every cloister, interrogating servants, ransacking prayer rooms, and sowing fear among the innocent. Sister Clara deflected suspicions with masterful lies, but the danger tightened daily. Meanwhile, Sophia appeared again before the grieving masses, her small voice declaring, "The truth does not die." Her courage electrified supporters and enraged enemies. Inside the walls of the Vatican, the split deepened as whispers of rebellion mingled with cries for silence. And still, Fernanda clutched the Pope's trembling words, hidden but undiminished. Conclave in chaos. The final showdown as cardinals gathered within the Sistine Chapel, a battle of ideologies erupted. Factions shouted, tempers flared, and alliances fractured along invisible fault lines. Cardinal Rossi stood boldly, challenging Moretti's condemnation of the prophecy and demanding that the conclave consider whether the voice of the faithful and the miracles witnessed might be a divine sign. Outside the walls, guarded by sympathetic nuns, Sophia lifted her hands skyward, whispering the Pope's hidden words into the biting wind. Inside, the cardinals cast their votes under the heavy gaze of Michelangelo's Last Judgment, knowing that with each ballot they chose between clinging to fear or stepping into an unknown future. A new dawn. Fernanda's legacy lives on. When the white smoke finally rose into the cold Vatican sky, the world watched breathlessly. Giovanni Bianchi, a man of quiet revolution, emerged onto the balcony, his first address marked by a powerful shift in tone. He spoke not of rigid law, but of open hearts and listening ears, subtly nodding to the spirit of the late Pope's prophecy without speaking its forbidden truths. In the shadows of St. Peter's centers, Fernanda wept silently, knowing her mission had ended. She vanished into the crowd, returning to her humble village carrying nothing but memories and a heart forever changed. Sophia's cry continued to echo across nations, and in a secret hiding place, Sister Clara preserved the original letter, its message awaiting a future that even time itself could not silence.